Foster Ballroom, Boston. 200 guests in black tie, crystal chandeliers, the smell of champagne and white lilies. A girl in emerald silk walks up to a black girl in a plain black dress. The rich girl's name is Victoria. Her family owns half this room. She looks the scholarship girl up and down. Then she says it, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear.
Are those cheap clothes? Oh, honey, they are.
Claire keeps her eyes on the floor.
I'm sorry. I just came from my scholarship dinner.
Sweetheart, scholarship girls don't get invited, they get tolerated. Now step back. You smell like the Goodwill.
This coat was my father's.
Tragic. Move before someone important notices.
Victoria turns away, smiling. She does not know her mother just lost the vote for board chairwoman tonight, and that the new chairwoman is walking through the back doors of this ballroom right now. Bro, I watched that scene replay in my head about 6 times before I could even type it out. Vance Narrator here, the guy who chases down the stories rich families pay good lawyers to bury, deep in a filing cabinet. So go ahead, pull up a chair, because the next 60 seconds, that's when the whole room turns. And trust me, you do not want to miss the first domino. Tuesday, October 28th, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Claire Hayes stands in the kitchen of a 2-bedroom walk-up in Dorchester. The apartment smells of coffee cooled past its hour and the waxy sweetness of a candle her mother never lights anymore. On the counter, beside a stack of unopened medical journals, sits a gold-embossed card. Pemberton Academy, Fall Board Welcome Reception, Foster Ballroom, 8 o'clock, black tie preferred. Scholarship students must attend. It is not phrased as a request. It is Clause 6 of every scholarship contract at Pemberton, tucked behind a paragraph about community participation. The language is gentle. The requirement is not. She reads the card twice. She does not own a gown. There is a plain black dress hanging in her closet. $12, bought 3 months ago at the Goodwill on Dorchester Avenue. The hem sits a little high. The fabric remembers another woman's shape. Claire lays it on the bed and runs a palm down the front, pressing out a crease that will not leave. She takes down the coat next. The coat is her father's. Navy wool, double-breasted, the kind made in Boston when Boston still made things. The lining is quilted silk, worn soft in patches. Stitched into the seam, almost invisible now, are 2 letters in dark thread. S.H. Stephen Hayes, cardiac surgeon. Dead 3 years. She presses the lining to her face for 1 second, and then she folds it over her arm. She glances in the hallway mirror on her way past. Brown skin against navy wool, her father's initials resting just above her heart. She stands a little straighter. A coat can say many things without saying a word. Her phone buzzes. Her mother. "Darling." Eleanor's voice is careful at the edge, the way it gets when she is trying not to show something. "I may be late." "How late?" "A congenital defect, 8 months old. We almost lost him in the 2nd hour." "Mom, are you okay?" "I'm fine. I'll meet you there." A pause. "Claire, whatever happens tonight, stand straight. I'll explain later." The line clicks off before Claire can answer. She sets the phone face down on the counter and she holds the edge of the counter for a breath. On the small television above the refrigerator, a local news channel runs a ticker across the bottom of the screen. Pemberton Academy board vote expected this afternoon. Chairmanship contested. Claire does not turn up the sound. She folds the invitation and tucks it inside her father's coat pocket. At 6:40, she walks 3 blocks to Walter's diner. Walter Davis is 63. Silver at the temples, built like a man who has been lifting bus tubs since before Claire was born. He does not ask where she is going. He does not need to. He reaches into a drawer behind the counter, pulls out a white cotton handkerchief folded into a crisp square, and slides it across the formica. "In case of spills," he says, "or tears." Claire takes it without speaking. She puts it in the coat's interior pocket beside the invitation. "You taking the number 39 bus?" She nods. "Sit by the window. Pretty ride." She almost smiles. At 7:20, the number 39 carries her across the Fort Point Channel and into the glow of Back Bay. Street lamps warm the brick. Somewhere, a church bell marks the half hour. The coat on her lap keeps the heat of the radiator at the back of the bus. A coat can be many things. Tonight, it is armor. At 8 o'clock, Claire Hayes steps through the gilded doors of Foster Ballroom. Victoria Ashford sees her before anyone else does. Foster Ballroom is a room built to remember itself. Coffered ceiling, chandeliers dripping crystal the size of a child's fist. 200 guests, trustees, alumni, faculty, senior families, holding champagne flutes at exactly the right height. The air smells of lilies and expensive perfume and the faint bitterness of good red wine. Claire hands her father's coat to the young attendant at the cloakroom. "Name, miss?" "Hayes. Hayes." The attendant scans the guest list, finds the name, and nods. A small brass tag clicks onto the hanger. The coat disappears through a curtained doorway. Claire turns into the room. The scholarship students share a table at the far corner, the one with the slightly shorter legs and the view of the service entrance. Ethan Brooks is already there, 16 years old, dark suit from his older cousin, necktie tied in a knot he clearly learned from a video. He looks up at her with the relief of a man who has been drowning alone. "You came. You thought I wouldn't?" "I hoped you wouldn't." Near the stage, the Ashfords have arranged themselves in a half circle beside the podium. Gregory Ashford, 52, silver-templed, navy suit cut in Milan. Diana Ashford, 48, emerald silk, pearls the size of birdshot. Victoria Ashford, 18, senior class, blonde hair pinned up with a single diamond clip. They are standing where the new chair of the board will stand. Diana rehearses something under her breath. Gregory rests a hand at the small of her back. The message is clear. The evening is already theirs. The confirmation is a formality. The gavel will be placed in Diana's palm within the hour. Victoria turns, scans the room, and finds Claire. She begins to move. Her heels strike the oak floor in a slow, measured rhythm. The walk of a girl who has been told many times that she walks well. A glass of sparkling water rests in her right hand. Two friends fall in behind her. One of them, Elise Bradford, lowers her phone to hip level and presses record. Victoria arrives at Claire's table. "Claire," a bright smile. "You came. That's brave." "Victoria, let me look at you." Victoria's eyes travel from collar to hem, taking inventory. Her fingers, the nails buffed to a perfect pearl, reach out and touch the sleeve of Claire's dress. She rubs the fabric between two knuckles like a tailor pricing a remnant. "Is this goodwill?" She tilts her head. "It's so authentic." Ethan Brooks goes still. A trustee 3 feet away turns his shoulders a half-inch toward the conversation. Elise Bradford's phone keeps recording. Victoria delivers the line without raising her voice. "I love that you can make cheap clothes work. It's a real talent." 4 words hang in the air. Cheap, clothes, real, talent. The oak floor goes quiet for one breath. Then Diana Ashford, from 15 feet away, lets out a small, crystalline laugh. The laugh of a woman who has been taught to laugh politely at things she has been taught to find amusing. 2 women beside her echo it, half a second later. The sound carries. It does the work laughter is often paid to do. Claire sets her water glass down on the table. She does not break eye contact with Victoria. She does not blink. She does not answer. 52 seconds of that encounter. From the moment Victoria's fingers touched the sleeve to the moment she turned away, are already moving through the Pemberton student messaging app. By 8:52, 300 classmates will have seen the clip. By midnight, it will have been reposted 12 times. Cruelty at this altitude does not shout. It smiles. It hands you a compliment shaped like a knife, and it waits for you to thank it. And the room, politely, looks the other way while it happens. Because that is what the room has been trained to do for 100 years. At the podium, Headmaster Nathaniel Sinclair clears his throat. He taps the microphone twice, a thin note of feedback. He is about to change the evening. Sinclair does not speak, not yet. He waits. His eyes find Gregory Ashford at the edge of the crowd. Gregory lifts his glass a quarter inch, a gesture so small that no one outside the 12 people who matter would see it. A permission. A green light. Sinclair lowers his eyes to the paper in his hand. Victoria is not finished. She turns from Claire to Ethan, a new smile on. The same smile, and Ethan. She pronounces his name as if it were a brand of jam. How are things? Are you still at that little grocery store on Tremont? Ethan's face goes a deep, slow red. He opens his mouth, closes it, and looks down at his hands. It's honest work, Claire says. Her voice is low, level, almost gentle. Oh, absolutely, Victoria nods. It's such honest work. A man at the next table, white hair, bow tie, a trustee since 1992, turns partly away. The way people turn when they want the plausible deniability of having been involved with the canapés and nothing else. Gregory Ashford closes the distance between the podium and Claire's table in 4 steps. He places one paternal hand on Victoria's shoulder. Sweetheart. His voice is warm. Manners. His eyes, though, are on Claire, and his mouth is smiling. The reprimand is theater. The message is the opposite of the words. Miss Hayes, isn't it? He inclines his head. Forgive my daughter, she gets enthusiastic. Mr. Ashford, your mother couldn't make it tonight. A shame. She was invited. A fractional pause on the word. Very specifically invited. She is on her way. Of course she is. At that moment, across the ballroom, in the private phones of 642 Pemberton students, the message thread of a popular class channel lights up with a single message, all capitals, followed by 3 laughing emojis. Cinderella in the ballroom, LOL. The clip is attached. 52 seconds. Fingers on a sleeve. A voice saying, cheap clothes. A laugh, off-frame, from a woman in emerald silk. Margaret Kensington, 59, gray bob, standing by the east wall with a glass of tonic water and no lime, watches the whole exchange. She does not laugh. She does not smile. She takes her phone from her clutch, thumbs a short message, and returns the phone to the clutch. Her face gives nothing away. Her face has given nothing away for most of a long career in quiet rooms. 6 feet behind Claire, Catherine Bishop, the school's senior English teacher, arrives with her niece on her arm. She has taught Claire the Scarlet Letter and Beloved, and she knows, in a way a good teacher always knows, when a student is being asked to carry a weight that should never have been placed on her. Ms. Bishop does not approach the table. She leans in, close enough that Claire feels the warmth of her breath, and she says 2 words. Stay standing. Then she is gone. Claire's phone vibrates against her thigh. She pulls it from the dress's small pocket. A text from a number she does not know, a number routed through the Pemberton internal messaging system, which means someone inside this room sent it less than a minute ago. Don't make a scene. Think of your scholarship. Claire does not write back. She does not delete it. She slips the phone back into her pocket. At the far wall, above a row of leather chairs reserved for emeritus trustees, there is a bronze recognition plaque mounted in a shallow oak frame. The plaque bears the names of Pemberton's inaugural scholarship recipients, year by year, going back 6 decades. Tonight, the 2022 line is partly obscured, not by dust, not by repair, but by a large, recently hung portrait of Diana Ashford being placed there for the reception. The name behind the frame begins with an L. Only the first half is visible. L. Mon. L. No one in the ballroom is looking at the plaque. No one has looked at the plaque in 18 months. Diana Ashford tilts her chin up, smooths the front of her husband's tuxedo, and catches Sinclair's eye. Nathaniel. Gregory's voice from across the room carries just enough. Let's get on with it. Sinclair steps to the microphone. He unfolds the paper. The paper was handed to him at 8:50 by a man named Peter Langley, who had received it 5 minutes earlier from a woman in a gray suit at the back of the ballroom. Sinclair looks at the name on the paper and his breath catches. He taps the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. Diana Ashford takes a step toward the podium. Her smile is polished. Her speech is memorized. 3 folded pages, notes in lavender ink. A single phrase underlined twice. An honor I accept with humility. Sinclair clears his throat. It is my duty this evening, on behalf of the Pemberton Academy Board of Trustees, to announce the confirmation of our new chair. Diana takes a second step. Sinclair reads the name. Victoria Ashford's smile begins to slip. Listen, between me and you, the silence right before a name gets read in a room like this, it's the loudest thing you'll ever hear in your life. I've lived through maybe 3 of those moments myself, and you never forget them. Not really. What you're about to hear in the next 60 seconds is the kind of thing a family spends the rest of their lives pretending never actually happened. 200 witnesses. Sinclair reads the name. Dr. Eleanor Hayes. The ballroom goes silent. Not the silence of a polite pause, the silence of 200 people forgetting at the same instant how to swallow. Diana Ashford is mid-step. Her front foot lands. Her back foot does not rise. Her speech is still in her clutch. Her mouth opens 1/8 of an inch and stays that way. Gregory Ashford turns his head slowly toward the podium. His expression does not change. His hand, resting on Victoria's shoulder, tightens. A small white crescent forms where his thumbnail presses against the strap of her dress. Victoria does not understand the name, not at first. Hayes. She hears it. She does not place it. 1 second, 2, 3, 4. She turns her head. She looks at Claire. Then the back doors of Foster Ballroom open. They do not slam. They do not groan. 2 tall oak doors at the rear of the room ease inward on their hinges, revealing a stretch of carpeted hallway and the silhouette of one woman stepping through. Dr. Eleanor Hayes walks in. She wears a navy suit cut to the shoulder. Her hair is pulled into a low, neat bun. She carries a black leather folder in her left hand. A hospital ID badge is still clipped to her lapel. Massachusetts General, Department of Cardiothoracic Surgery. Her dark brown skin shows no trace of makeup. She has not had time. Her heels make a sound against the oak floor, steady, unhurried, a pulse. Heads turn as she passes, whole tables turn. She does not acknowledge them. Her eyes are on the podium. She passes within 3 feet of Victoria Ashford. She does not look at her. She does not need to. A mother knows where her daughter is in any room without turning her head. Claire stands at her corner table. She does not cry. She stands straighter. Eleanor reaches the podium. She sets the folder down beside the microphone. She adjusts the stand a 1/4 inch. Thank you, Dr. Sinclair. Her voice is not loud. The room leans in. I apologize for my delay. A patient required more time than expected. Patients often do. A quiet laugh from a single physician at the back of the room. Who knows? Then silence again. The board convened at 4:32 this afternoon. The vote was 8-6. I was confirmed as chair of the Board of Trustees of Pemberton Academy at 4:41. Dr. Sinclair will have circulated the minutes to all trustees and alumni by 9:03 this evening. At that, my first motion as chair, to be filed on Monday morning, is a full transparency review of every scholarship disbursement pathway at this institution, retroactive 6 years, including, and I wish to be very clear about this, every consulting fee, every advisory payment, and every third-party wire transfer associated with any scholarship decision. Somewhere at the back of the room, a glass drops. No one picks it up. Gregory Ashford sets his own glass on a side table. He does not finish his drink. He turns, walks toward the side door, and leaves the ballroom. Diana does not follow. Victoria Ashford has not moved. Her hand is still half raised. Her smile has stopped being a smile. She is looking at Claire now, not in contempt, not in surprise, but in something closer to vertigo, the private, wordless recognition that the floor she has been standing on is not the floor she thought it was. Eleanor's eyes find Claire across the room. 1 second. A mother's look, nothing more. Then she turns to the next item on the folder. The coat had not changed. The room had. By sunrise, the clip has 6,000 views. By noon on Thursday, a woman named Audrey Whitmore is sitting in a booth at Walter's Diner asking to speak with Claire Hayes alone. Walter's Diner opens at 5. Audrey Whitmore arrives at 6:15 and orders a black coffee and a plate of rye toast and sits in booth 9, which is the only booth in the diner with a door that blocks the view from the street. Audrey is 51. She has been an investigative reporter at the Boston Standard for 23 years. She is a Pemberton Scholarship graduate from the class of 1993. She has worn the same navy canvas jacket to every interview since 2011. The collar is beginning to fray. She refuses to replace it. Claire sits across from her with a mug of coffee she does not drink. "I'm not here because of the clip," Audrey says. "I'm here because of what the clip is telling me about the rest of that ballroom." I know. Let me set some rules first. You are a student. You are not a source. Nothing you say to me crosses into print without your permission. Your name stays out of the paper until you choose. If you want to stop talking, we stop. If you want to walk out of this booth right now, I drink my coffee, I go home, and we never met. Claire nods once. Good. Audrey opens a battered notebook. Now, I want to show you what I already have. Not because I'm asking you to confirm it, because I want you to know what room you've just walked into. She turns the notebook around. The first page is a corporate filing from the state of Delaware dated May 2019. Ashford Educational Advisors, LLC. Principal Manager, Gregory L. Ashford. Registered Agent, a mailbox service at 280 State Street, Boston, 2 blocks from Gregory Ashford's office at Ashford Capital Partners. Delaware. Claire studies the page. Why Delaware? Because Delaware doesn't require member disclosure. It is a box. The box has one name on the outside. The contents are not public. Nobody has to answer for what moves through it. Audrey turns the page. The second page is a table, 23 rows. Each row lists a date range, a family surname redacted to initials, and a dollar figure. The numbers range from 15,000 to 30,000. The dates show a pattern Claire does not need a finance degree to read. Every one of these families, Audrey says, had a child receive a Pemberton scholarship, the merit kind, not need-based, between 2019 and this year, and every one of them wired a payment to Ashford Educational Advisors within 90 days of the scholarship being finalized. 23 families, 23 payments. Total, approximately $400,000 across 6 years. $400,000 for what? According to the LLC's marketing material for educational consulting services, test prep, college counseling, admissions strategy, The kind of thing you can charge whatever you want for because no one can prove what a single hour of strategy is actually worth. But these are kids who already got into Pemberton. Correct. So what is the service isn't getting in. The service is the scholarship itself. They're paying for the award. Claire's coffee is cold. She has not touched it. And the school doesn't see the payment. The school doesn't need to. The LLC sits outside the school's books. The families pay the LLC. The LLC is owned by a board member. The board member sits on the committee that approves the scholarships. The committee approves the scholarships. Nobody has to ask anybody anything. Nobody is ever technically in a conflict of interest because the transaction has been laundered through a separate wall. Audrey closes the notebook. She waits. Claire exhales. Why are you telling me this today? Because 2 days ago your mother filed a motion to audit that exact pool, and because last night at around 11 o'clock, an attorney named James Holbrook sent a letter to the Pemberton secretary of the board requesting that the motion be withdrawn on procedural grounds. Holbrook represents Ashford Capital. He also represents the LLC. That's not a coincidence. That's not a coincidence. Hey, quick thing. If you've ever been in a room where a pattern was everyone's open secret and nobody said a word, stay with me. The next stretch is why we don't leave. Over the following 6 weeks, the picture fills in. Ethan Brooks breaks first. He meets Claire after school on a gray Tuesday afternoon in the corner of the library where the 800s of the Dewey System collect dust. He tells her that last spring, outside the Spanish classroom, Victoria Ashford said something about his mother's uniform being so authentic. He tells her he did not report it. He tells her he is tired of not reporting it. He writes his statement in 45 minutes, signs it, and hands her a copy. Audrey drives to Amherst on a Saturday. She finds Lily Monroe in the second-floor study lounge of the UMass Amherst Library. Lily is 20. She transferred out of Pemberton in March of her junior year. Her Pemberton plaque, Inaugural Pemberton Scholar 2022, sits under a portrait of Diana Ashford in the Foster Ballroom and has sat there for 18 months without anyone noticing. Lily has kept everything. A binder of printed emails, screenshots of a group chat from her second semester, a handwritten log of comments and dates, neat, dated, each entry with a witness name, a signed resignation letter, a folder of doctor's notes explaining the weight loss, a copy of a Pemberton disciplinary slip issued to her, not to the students who had harassed her, for disruption of instructional flow. She hands the binder to Audrey and she says one sentence, "I have been waiting 3 years for somebody to ask." Audrey reads the binder on the drive back to Boston. She pulls into a rest stop on the Massachusetts Turnpike and she sits in her car for 20 minutes before she drives the rest of the way. She does not cry. She stopped crying at this job around 2008. The pattern is not anecdotal, it is procedural. Of the 23 scholarship-approved families with LLC payments on file, 19 had children still enrolled at Pemberton. 4 had not. Of those 4, every single student had been the subject of sustained public ridicule by Victoria Ashford or her immediate circle during the academic year before their withdrawal. 3 of those 4 students were students of color. 4 seats opened. 4 new scholarships were issued. 4 new families wired payments to Ashford Educational Advisors within the following 90 days. The mockery was not cruelty alone. The mockery was the door. Dr. Eleanor Hayes, in her second week as chair, formally requests a forensic audit of all scholarship-linked financial flows. 3 trustees, including Thomas Whitaker, a longtime Ashford ally, resist on procedural grounds. Their resistance is recorded in the minutes. Their resistance is a receipt. Jonathan Price, a litigator working pro bono for the Hayeses, begins redlining Audrey's draft before publication. Names are checked. Dates are checked. Every assertion is either sourced, signed, or struck. He calls it the walk-away rule. If a line cannot survive a lawyer walking away with it, the line does not run. A scheme needs three things to live: a door, a lock, and a way to pretend the lock is for safety. The LLC is the lock, the mockery is the door, and the pretending? The pretending was an entire ballroom worth of people taught not to see it. On day 83, a letter arrives at Eleanor Hayes's Dorchester address. It is hand-delivered. It is on thick cream stock. The letterhead reads, Holbrook and Vance, LLP. The ground is about to shift. The letter is 8 pages long. It is addressed jointly to Dr. Eleanor Hayes, Ms. Claire Hayes, and Ms. Audrey Whitmore. It alleges defamation, tortious interference, and, in a footnote, potential federal securities concerns arising from what the letter calls unverified insinuations regarding Ashford Capital Partners. Through counsel, Gregory Ashford denies any wrongdoing. The letter characterizes all payments to Ashford Educational Advisors, LLC, as arm's-length advisory fees for services rendered, and asserts that the LLC has no operational relationship to scholarship selection at Pemberton Academy. Jonathan Price reads the letter twice. He sets it down on his desk. He says calmly, "They're nervous. A calm family does not send an 8-page letter at 11 at night. A calm family sends 1 page." Within 72 hours, other things begin to move. Claire's outside pre-medical scholarship, a grant from the Greater Boston Medical Futures Foundation, awarded the previous spring on the basis of her 4.0 average and a personal essay about her father, is placed under administrative review pending community conduct considerations. The foundation's board includes 2 Pemberton donors. The review is announced on a Friday afternoon, and no media is informed. On Monday, Eleanor Hayes's surgical department receives a series of anonymous calls asking whether hospital leadership has considered the reputational exposure of employing a physician engaged in a highly public institutional dispute. The chief of cardiothoracic surgery opens an HR inquiry on Tuesday morning. She closes it on Tuesday afternoon. She leaves a single sentence on Eleanor's voicemail. "We do not do this here." On Wednesday night, someone puts a brick through the front window of Walter's Diner. There is no note. There is no suspect. The insurance policy requires a $5,000 deductible Walter does not have. He tapes a piece of plywood over the gap and paints 4 words across it in white primer. Still open. Always was. On Thursday, Ethan Brooks's father receives a telephone call at his auto body shop in Medford. The voice on the line belongs to a family friend of the Ashfords. "Ethan is a good kid. He should think about his future. He should think carefully about whose fight is worth having." Ethan's father does not tell Ethan about the call until 6 weeks later. By then, it does not matter. By then, Ethan has already signed. At Pemberton, Dr. Nathaniel Sinclair is intercepted in the faculty parking lot by Gregory Ashford on a Friday evening. Snow has begun to fall. The 2 men stand between a Range Rover and a Volvo, their breath visible in the cold. "Greg, I don't know what I don't know." "Then maybe you should keep not knowing, Nate, for another 2 months until this blows over." "I don't think this is going to blow over." Gregory Ashford does not answer. He nods once and walks to his car. 3 days later, Peter Langley, Sinclair's assistant of 9 years, places a folder on Catherine Bishop's desk. Inside the folder is a single-page document titled Statement of Institutional Neutrality. It is pre-drafted. It asks Ms. Bishop to affirm that she has witnessed no conduct at Pemberton that rises to the level of a protected concern. A signature line is provided. A due date is typed in bold. Ms. Bishop reads the document twice. She takes it to her car. She sits in the driver's seat of a 15-year-old Honda and she reads it a 3rd time. She does not sign it. She drives home. The following morning she files, formally, in writing, via certified mail, a request that the headmaster's office reopen the October 28th complaint that she submitted and that, she now realizes, never reached his desk. She names Peter Langley in the memo. She names him twice. Victoria Ashford, on a Wednesday between second and third period, catches Claire alone in the east stairwell. "Claire, wait. Please." Claire does not stop. "This isn't fair to me either. You have to know that. I didn't know about any of this. My dad—" Claire reaches the landing. She turns. "Stand straight, Victoria." She says it quietly. "Whatever is coming, stand straight for it." She continues up the stairs. That night, Claire sits at the small kitchen table in Dorchester and opens a blank document on her laptop. To the office of the registrar, Pemberton Academy. I, Claire Hayes, class of... She types 2 paragraphs. She deletes the second paragraph. She types the second paragraph again. She deletes it again. Her cursor blinks at her the way a heart monitor blinks at a family in a waiting room. She closes the laptop. The house is quiet. Her mother is at the hospital. The refrigerator hums. The coat is on the hook by the door. Claire stands. She walks down the hallway. She opens a door she has not opened in 3 years. The study is on the north side of the apartment. It has one window facing an alley and a brick wall. The carpet is blue. The desk is oak. The lamp is green, a small banker's lamp with a brass chain. The chain still pulls on its own the way he always pulled it. 2 light tugs and a pause, as if the lamp required consent before it would shine. Claire stands in the doorway. The room smells of dust and paper and, faintly, still 3 years on, pipe tobacco. Her father never smoked in the house. He kept a tobacco pouch in the middle drawer because he liked the smell. Her mother has not thrown the pouch out. Her mother has not thrown most things out. Claire crosses the carpet. She sits in the chair. She places both palms flat on the desk. In the second drawer, left-hand side, there is a sealed manila envelope. He labeled it in his own handwriting with a black felt-tip pen. 3 words. For my daughter. Claire does not open it, not yet. She places her hands on the envelope and she leaves them there. The front door opens, somewhere past 11. Footsteps in the hallway. Eleanor, still in her scrubs, her coat over her arm, appears in the doorway of the study and stops. Neither of them speaks. Eleanor sits down on the blue carpet, her back against the wall. She sets her coat beside her. She folds her hands in her lap. She does not touch her daughter. She does not offer to touch her daughter. Some grief needs space before it needs arms. The refrigerator hums 2 rooms away. "Mom?" Claire does not look up. "I'm here. What if we lose?" Eleanor takes her time answering. Outside, a city bus pulls away from a stop. Its brakes sigh and catch. "Then we lose honestly." That's not an answer. I know. Dad used to... Claire stops. She starts again. He used to fold dollar bills into roses. Do you remember? I remember. He taught me when I was 6. He said a rose was harder to make than a swan. He said that was why it was worth learning. He said that about a lot of things. He didn't tell me about the committee. He didn't tell me he resigned. He was trying to protect you. From what? From exactly this. Claire closes her eyes. A tear moves sideways along her lashes and does not fall. Listen, I know this stretch is heavy. If this is hitting something old in you, stay with me for 1 more minute. The next minute is why we started. Eleanor stands. She does not cross to the desk. She crosses to the doorway instead. She pauses there, one hand on the frame. Whatever is in that envelope, she says, is yours to open or not to open. If you don't want to open it tonight, don't. It will still be there tomorrow, and the day after, and every day after that until you are ready. Mom, Yes. Did he know that he was running out of time? He knew. And he left it for me anyway. He left it for whoever was going to need it. That happened to be you. Eleanor walks down the hallway. The bedroom door clicks shut, quietly, the way she closes doors in hospital corridors when a family is sleeping. Claire sits with her hands on the envelope. 1 minute, 3 minutes, 12 minutes. Then she reaches for the envelope. She places it flat in front of her. She slides her thumb under the flap. While Claire sits at the oak desk with an envelope she has not yet opened, the rest of the city moves without her. Ethan Brooks's signed statement, 3 pages, single-spaced, dated, witnessed by a notary, is delivered to Jonathan Price's office at 9 a.m. the following Monday. Ethan does not ask for his name to be redacted. He spells it correctly twice, once in the body and once in the signature block. Catherine Bishop's refiled concern memo, date-stamped and couriered via certified mail, lands on Headmaster Sinclair's actual desk for the first time. Because for the first time, it did not pass through Peter Langley's hands. The headmaster reads it. He reads it a second time. He places it in a folder labeled Concerns, Active. He does not place it in the drawer where concerns are filed when they are meant to be forgotten. The Pemberton Scholars Network, an alumni group founded in 1986 by graduates of the original scholarship program, now numbering 416 members across 6 decades of classes, issues a public statement on a Wednesday morning. The statement pledges a legal defense fund. The statement is signed by a retired federal prosecutor, 3 sitting physicians, 2 architects, a former state senator, and the associate dean of a law school in Connecticut. The fund passes $75,000 within 72 hours. Audrey Whitmore's editor at the Boston Standard greenlights the investigative piece for the Monday morning before the court hearing. The piece runs 3,400 words on the front page of the Metro section. It names the LLC. It names the 23 wires. It does not yet name Victoria Ashford. It names her father. The headline is one word: Ledger. A group of 12 Pemberton juniors, none of them scholarship students, all of them the children of donors, writes a petition in a shared document titled For Claire. The petition calls for an independent review of the Legacy Committee. 48 students sign in the first day. 192 sign by the end of the week. They do not send it to the headmaster. They will wait. They will hand-deliver it to Dr. Eleanor Hayes on the morning of the hearing. Jonathan Price files a formal motion for a preliminary injunction in Suffolk County Superior Court. Attached to the motion, 11 sworn affidavits. Ethan Brooks, Lily Monroe, Catherine Bishop, Margaret Kensington, the swing vote trustee, 6 other witnesses. A redacted transcript of a conversation between Peter Langley and an intern, obtained through a data preservation order. On Thursday, Walter Davis removes the plywood from the front window of his diner and replaces it with fresh glass, paid for in cash by 3 members of the Pemberton Scholars Network who stopped by without announcement. He does not ask for their names. They do not offer them. The new window is hung by 11 a.m. Walter opens for lunch at 11:29. Isolation is the weapon. Witnesses are the antidote. Witnesses, it turns out, had been waiting to be asked. And in the north study of a 2-bedroom walk-up in Dorchester, a young woman slides her thumb all the way under the flap of a manila envelope and begins, at last, to read what her father has left her. The letter is 2 pages. It is dated March 4th, 2022. 6 days before Dr. Stephen Hayes was admitted to the hospital for what he believed was a bad flu and what turned out to be stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The first line reads, "To whoever is brave enough next." Claire reads that line twice. She reads the second line out loud, very quietly, to no one in particular. "I did not have time. I am sorry. I leave you what I was able to gather. The rest is yours to carry." The letter continues for another page and a half. In it, her father describes his tenure on the Pemberton Legacy Committee between 2018 and early 2020. He describes the moment he first noticed a pattern. A scholarship approval followed within weeks by a donation routed through a shell entity to an account at an address he recognized. He describes the day he raised it quietly with the then chair, and the day he raised it less quietly, and the day he was told, in a hallway, that if he pushed further he would not be nominated for renewal. He resigned from the committee in February 2020. Stapled to the letter, a printed spreadsheet. The spreadsheet lists 6 early instances of the same pattern: scholarship approvals followed by corporate transfers, dated between 2018 and early 2020. The earliest entry on the spreadsheet is dated January 2019. Ashford Educational Advisors, LLC was incorporated in Delaware in May 2019. The spreadsheet predates the LLC's existence by 4 months. Player sits very still. Intent. Planning. The architecture of the scheme existed before the legal structure designed to disguise it. Somebody drew a blueprint. Then somebody built the walls around the blueprint. Then somebody moved in and called it a consulting firm. There is a second sheet clipped behind the first. It is a photocopy of a memorandum circulated to 3 members of the Board of Trustees in January 2020. The memo, in her father's handwriting, outlines what he had found. It is initialed by 3 board members confirming receipt. 2 of those 3 initials belong to trustees still sitting today. The third belongs to Diana Ashford. None of them acted. The inaction is a receipt. Claire reads the letter a second time, then a third. Then she picks up the phone. Eleanor arrives at the apartment at 1:20 in the morning. She reads the letter once. She does not read it a second time. She folds it, slides it back into the envelope, and places the envelope in her lap. She sits in the blue chair in the study for 11 minutes without speaking. The green banker's lamp makes small round islands of light on the oak desk, the way it used to when Stephen was there and she would bring him tea at midnight. Then she takes the phone from Claire's hand, and she calls Jonathan Price. By 3 a.m., Jonathan has the dossier in his possession. By 6 a.m., he has filed a supplemental exhibit to the preliminary injunction motion under seal, citing the 2022 letter, the pre-LLC spreadsheet, and the January 2020 memorandum. A dead father can still hand a daughter a door. The hinge is what she makes of it. 3 days later, a black SUV waits outside the Dorchester apartment at 6:45 in the morning. Eleanor is in the back seat. Claire is beside her. The coat is folded across Claire's lap. The hearing begins at 10. Claire irons the coat before she puts it on. Suffolk County Superior Court, Courtroom 6, 10 a.m. The Honorable Richard Abernathy, 36 years on the bench, presides. The gallery fills before 9:45. Reporters in the 3rd and 4th rows, 12 members of the Pemberton Scholars Network in the back, Ethan Brooks and his father in row 5, Catherine Bishop in row 6. Lily Monroe drove down from Amherst at dawn and is sitting in row 8 with her mother. The gallery smells of rain-soaked wool and floor polish, and the quiet, sharp paper scent of a room where something is about to be decided. Jonathan Price opens. He introduces, in order, the 11 sworn affidavits, the Delaware Incorporation record of Ashford Educational Advisors, LLC, the pattern of 23 wire transfers across 6 years, the minutes of the October 28th board vote, the October 28th clip with a waiver of privacy from Claire Hayes, and, entered under seal, the March 4th, 2022 letter, the pre-LLC spreadsheet, and the January 2020 memorandum initialed by 3 sitting trustees. Gregory Ashford is called under subpoena. He takes the oath. James Holbrook, representing the Ashford family and the LLC, objects 13 times in the first 11 minutes. Abernathy overrules 3 of the first 5 objections without taking his eyes off the page. Through counsel, Gregory Ashford maintains that all payments to Ashford Educational Advisors, LLC were arm's-length advisory fees and that the LLC had no operational role in scholarship selection. Jonathan Price asks about the 90-day window. Ashford answers in qualifications. Abernathy makes a small note in the margin of the brief. At 11:06, Jonathan introduces an exhibit the gallery is not expecting. Your Honor, Exhibit 22. A funding breakdown of the 2024 Pemberton Academy Academic Excellence Scholarship, awarded to Ms. Victoria Ashford. The breakdown shows that the award was drawn in part from the endowment subfund flagged in the forensic audit as receiving LLC-adjacent contributions. A murmur runs through the gallery. Victoria Ashford in row 2 drops her eyes. Through family counsel, Victoria Ashford states that she had no knowledge of the funding source of her scholarship. She has not spoken to her father, counsel adds, in 19 days. Claire is called. She walks to the stand in her father's coat, which she has not taken off and which the bailiff has not asked her to remove. She places her hand on the book. She affirms. She reads a 3-sentence statement from a single folded index card. I am not here to be believed. I am here because the record is. The record will speak for me long after I am no longer a student at this school. She steps down. At 11:42, Judge Abernathy grants the preliminary injunction. All accounts held by or routed through Ashford Educational Advisors, LLC, in connection with the Pemberton Legacy Committee are frozen. All associated documents are ordered produced under seal to counsel within 30 days. A forensic audit is ordered to conclude within 90 days. Samantha Cole, the Deputy Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, is in the gallery. After the ruling, she walks toward Audrey Whitmore at the press rail and slides a business card across the brass. When the audit closes, she says quietly, call me first. A courtroom is not justice. A courtroom is the shape justice sometimes borrows on its way through. Outside on the courthouse steps, Claire Hayes pulls the coat tighter around her shoulders. The wind knows the coat by now. And not a single one ever talks about it. Part 3. Real talk, friend. I read that dead man's letter 3 separate times before I could even sit down and write this ending. Some details, they don't just hit you. They land sideways, right in your chest. And a father handing his daughter the one thing he didn't live long enough to finish? Man, that one's been rattling around in my ribs for about a week straight. And I don't think it's leaving anytime soon. Within 3 weeks, Gregory Ashford resigns the board he used to chair. 2 more trustees follow him by the end of the month. A reform committee is seated. 3 of its seats go to members of the Pemberton Scholars Network. Margaret Kensington is named vice chair. Dr. Nathaniel Sinclair announces his retirement at the end of the academic year. Peter Langley is terminated for cause. The bronze plaque for Lily Monroe is uncovered and rededicated at a small Saturday ceremony. Lily stands at the back and nods once when her name is read. Victoria Ashford's scholarship is restructured and disclosed. She finishes senior year at a small prep school in Connecticut. Claire Hayes submits her early decision pre-medical application on a Thursday morning in late March. She wears the coat. It goes back on the hook by the door that afternoon. It smells faintly of pipe tobacco and rain. On the kitchen counter, her mother leaves a note in small block letters. Dad would have been proud of how quiet you stayed. The laughter had stopped. The doors had opened. The record is written. A coat they called cheap has outlasted a century of tradition. Sunlight does not need permission. If you've ever been told you were tolerated instead of invited, drop one word in the comments. Witness. Subscribe for the audit report that reshaped a state's response. The story is not over. It is simply, at last, written down.